And we are live.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Let me get the comments up. That way I can help you.
Oh, yeah. Pull them up so you can see.
It.
All right. Steve is going to help with the comments tonight because I was terrible on the last show. So Steve had to grab a drink. We were all ready to go. And then Steve's like, oh, my God, I don't have anything to drink. So he ran downstairs, grabbed his favorite non-alcoholic drink. I think he got a juice box. What it said in the chat here.
Semi-sweet tea, trying to cut back on the sugar a little bit.
Fair enough.
Subtly sweet.
Good man. Good man. Ryan, good to see you, buddy. History Through Cards - Shortcut is his YouTube channel. Check it out. Brendan, what's going on, buddy? What does everybody think about the new and improved background? Your boy went ahead and upgraded. I went ahead and upgraded the StreamYard after 3 years in March. So, yeah, I've been on it for a while, and I was like, you know what? I think it's time to upgrade, so I finally did it. So
well, see, here. When you're streaming with a finance coach for so long, you realize certain expenses have to be trimmed out. But now you're streaming with someone else. Go ahead and get that up there, right?
Exactly. Lee Haskins, what's going on? Hambone, what's up, man? Does Michael Ham have a is he going to the National? Are you guys going together? Like, what's the story there?
Yes, we booked.
Okay.
We're splitting. Yeah.
All right. Good deal. I'm looking forward to seeing you, Mike Ham. C&T Chad, what's going on? Michael Stone, Vintage Sports Cards. Hello from Pennsylvania. Yeah, does it not seem right? Hobby Champs. Yeah, it's live. It's live. Phoenix Rising, what's going on? And Brian, Suns in the finals already. Brian is the most optimistic guy on the planet. He's always talking trash to me about Tom Brady, whether he's with the Bucks. And then after he retired, it was Tom Brady's going to come to Arizona. It's always just talking smack to me. So I can appreciate that.
Well, he's an Arizona guy, like right now, you know.
Well, he was a Tom Brady
thoughts
Bucks.
Thoughts on Kyler Murray for me, right?
Yeah.
Buying cards in the gutter, right?
We'll get to Steve's gutter card pickups here in just a few minutes. John Fishman, lots of Pennsylvanians. All right. Good to see you. All right, guys, we are supposed to have, I don't want to make any guarantees, but Mike, Baseball Collector, should be joining us maybe in like 15, 20, 30 minutes or so to talk about his experience at the Burbank show. So we'll have him on in just a bit. But first, let's talk about, we have all these Pennsylvania people. Steve and I are going to the Philly show in March. So I think Steve was already planning on going. And then I am going to go up to Delaware. It's only about a 5-hour drive for me. So I'm excited. I've never been to the Philly show, never been to Delaware either. So I'm going to go up, hang out with Steve, see his new pad. He's got he has a hot tub too now, but his is like larger. Seats like 20 people, and it has jets.
I don't live in a mansion. Okay. See, Dustin's going to feel like he's confined, like he's in a hotel in Europe or something here because, I don't live in a mansion, but I got my backyard is good.
No, it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited. Excited to hang out with Steve. We are going to also go to the Chantilly show at the end of June and then also the National. So we've got a good little lineup coming. Big Philly show coming up in a few weeks. Tons of vintage at Philly. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Steve, actually, all right. So Mike just joined, and just in the interest of time, I'm going to pull him on now. I wasn't sure if he was going to join earlier or later. So let's go ahead and just pull Mike, Baseball Collector. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, Dustin. Hey, Steve.
Hey, how are you doing, man?
Well, I was watching it live, and you said he's going to come on at some point. I'm like, well, I might as well come on now. So
why not? Why not? Yeah, thanks for joining. So, I mean, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to, because you were boots on the ground at that show, and I was watching some vlogs on it. I was talking to Steve, and I was like, who can we get on that's not just going to say this was the best show ever on planet Earth? Who's somebody that we can have that'll say, like, that'll just level it and just say, like, this was good, this was bad, or whatever. And so we picked you. We're like, Mike is going to be that guy that'll actually just say it how it is.
Well, I try.
Yeah. Tell us kind of, well, I guess, so I have one question kind of right out of the gate. The one thing that I thought was kind of interesting was, I think it was Andy maybe that had picked up kind of a, obscure vintage card. I was just surprised to see vintage pickups, to be honest. Like I was thinking like SoCal Card Show. I was thinking more it's going to be like Kobe's and LeBron's and modern stuff mostly. So Was there a lot of vintage there? And granted, I know that's kind of relative, but what was your take on that front?
Yeah, there were Kobe's to be had for sure. LeBron, lots of basketball, Luca, stuff like that. Plenty of that around. And it had a Dallas show kind of feel where, it's maybe 15 to 20% vintage. So there was plenty around. And there were some really big vintage dealers that were there. And that made a big difference. We kind of called it Vintage Corner. There was an area where it just seemed like there was, I don't know, 7, 8 dealers right in a row that all had vintage stuff.
Okay.
And so, yeah, there was plenty there.
Was there a lot of kind of big, well-known dealers that came from kind of all over the country, or, was it also just a lot of local folks that you hadn't really seen before?
Both. There were plenty of guys there that I see at every Dallas card show. So, they traveled to LA. I mean, this has become something big, and I think it's only going to get bigger. If I had to predict, I think the West Coast needed a show like this, and they're going to have it now, every 6 months as Rob and his team are putting this together. It was a really fun show. Part of that had to do with the people I was with. Makes anything more fun, right? Depending on who you're hanging with. If I'd have been there by myself, it wouldn't have been nearly as much fun, but the people made it fun. The deals were to be had. You had to dig. Like if you wanted to dig, you could find cards. There were a lot of guys there. Prices were still a little, we definitely walked around and we looked at ourselves multiple times going, yep, LA prices, and that wasn't just at the gas station when we drove by. It was also at the card show. So
interesting. Okay. And they're going to do one in Anaheim. Is that right? Coming up like August, which is actually even a bigger venue.
Yeah. Anaheim's where they've had nationals before back in the day. Yeah. So it's a very, very large venue. They are just continuing to, I think that's where they'll probably stay. Like if it gets to where that's a success, that's kind of becomes the home for the Burbank Card Show. Because that's a plenty big venue for lots of growth, and they can do that there for a long time.
So I have a question about, because I've never been out west or to California, let alone for a show, but other than inside of the show, like what is it like outside of the show as far as accommodations, transportation and things? Is it fairly easy? Is everything kind of congested in a nice area, or is it kind of like Atlantic City National where you're all over? How's it kind of like the feel on that?
Yeah, so everybody thinks it's in LA. It's really not. It's in Ontario, which is, just pull it up on a map. It's not really, I mean, it took us from Pacific Palisades where we were staying, which is kind of towards the coast, about an hour and a half to get to the show. And that was on a, Friday at 10 a.m. when LA traffic's bad all the time, but at least we were going kind of counter commute. But there at the venue itself, there's multiple hotels. I mean, it's a big convention center. Mm-hmm. They host a lot of events, so there's a lot of accommodations. We stayed at the hotel actually Friday night and just walked back and forth, super easy, less than 5-minute walk, no big deal. The weather was spectacular while we were there, which certainly doesn't hurt. It was absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, we just had a great time.
Cool. Yeah, that's like a Cali show is like definitely on my list. It just would be like which one. So I'm kind of like just kind of feeling out, the Burbank one seems like it's getting very popular, but yeah, something I got to do.
It was kind of funny that as I'm walking around and seeing people are asking me, hey, how does this compare to a Dallas show? And the answer is once it doubles, it'll be the size of the Dallas show in terms of floor space and all that. Mm-hmm. The main area where it was this time was about 3/4 of the size of the main room there in Dallas. Dustin, you've been there, that main room, but Dallas has 4 other rooms where there's so it, there's 700-ish, 750 tables at the Dallas show. There were 400-ish tables at this show. So, just to give you an idea of scope, Dustin, since you've been to Dallas, you kind of know.
So the Anaheim show will probably be similar to the Dallas show in size, or almost.
I think they'll get to like 600 tables. Like you're not going to have any problem getting dealers to want to go to, you know, this show. Like no problem getting dealers to go there because there's a lot of money in Southern California. And so they're going to have no problem getting dealers to want to show up.
That's cool. What about the corporate presence? You know, I know that part has grown at the Dallas show over time. Now, granted, I've only been to the Dallas show once, and it was May of 2021. It's going back a little bit. It was like it was the one right before kind of that national, you know, as the pandemic was winding down sort of. And I went to it in part because I didn't know if there was going to be a national in 2021. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, that show has just, I mean, Dallas has just stayed. That surprised me a lot. Not that I don't think there's a lot of card companies and everything in Dallas, because I know that there are, but that show is every couple of months and stays so busy. It's incredible. How is the corporate presence, you know, at this show?
So PSA was grading on site. Beckett was taking orders. I don't know if they were actually grading on site, but Beckett was there set up. You had Tag was there. So there were grading companies. There were all kinds of smaller, you know, industry businesses that were there, you know, peddling their wares, so to speak. And, you know, I think that those have to be together. I mean, if you're a show promoter to make the show successful, you need that corporate money to kind of lock some things down. Kyle's done a great job with Dallas, not letting that be overwhelming, although it feels like that's growing and growing. Kyle, who runs the Dallas show, was at the Burbank show. I saw him on the floor and talked to him.
Oh, wow.
A little bit. You know, there were plenty of, you know, Jeff Wilson was there. Sports Card Investor had a setup, and they were, you know, selling market movers and all that kind of stuff that they do. It was, you know, it was a fair corporate press. It was not overwhelming for sure.
Yeah.
It was all about the dealers.
Okay. Cool. Let's shift over to the national. Are you all booked up for the national? Did you actually book it like the day after last year's national? That's what I should have done.
Even better. I had a friend that couldn't go that's going to go this year. And he was so excited that he booked our hotel while we were all at the national last year. So
okay. Nice.
So that's a done deal. I still have to buy my plane ticket, but that's not a big deal. There's plenty of flights from Dallas to Chicago. There's 10 a day, you know, so that's not going to be hard. And I plan on going Tuesday through Saturday this year, which is kind of my normal. I never stay on Sunday. I'd rather get home and have a day to recover.
Yeah, I usually go back on Sunday, but the main thing is everyone wants to be there for Thursday night because that's usually the trade night, the big trade night. So I think I'm going to probably do what I did last time and just arrive Thursday and then fly back on Sunday morning is what I'm guessing. But yeah, we'll see. Steve, do you already have your flight figured out?
Not my flight. I just booked my room this week. Maybe it might have been last week. And accommodations are tough to find right now, especially something within walking distance. And in Chicago for me 2 years ago, I went on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, flew out on Sunday. Then Atlantic City, because I live within driving distance of that, I stayed through Sunday. This year, I'm going in on Wednesday and flying out Sunday morning. So I'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and leaving Sunday morning. So
Wednesday is actually my favorite day of the show.
Yeah, I heard it's a good time to get in.
You get kind of the early walkthrough. Is that why?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have everything. If you're a guy like me I want to have the pick of the litter, you know, if I'm looking for a particular card, you have that on Wednesday. By Saturday, the deals are largely gone, and the stuff that's left is stuff I'm not necessarily interested in, most likely. So, and usually I don't stay on Sunday because I've usually spent all my money by then, right, yeah. and I'm ready to get home. So I like having all of the stuff lined up, ready to go. If I want a Hank Aaron rookie, they're all there, you know, on Wednesday to choose from.
So you mean just from like from like price point and everything, you kind of get first dibs and you get first to negotiate, and then, you know, go from there. Whereas it might be gone if it's Friday or Saturday.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Do you have Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, so selection, it's actually, it's good on Wednesday. So of course you don't have the buyers coming in going through everything.
Yeah, Ryan, don't forget to smell the cards of the National. He freaked me out. He's like the splint, like the master splinter of sports cards. He like buys vintage, and he actually like smells the cards. And I remember the dealer there's a lady at the table that was looking at him like, what is this guy doing? But that's how he knows it's legit. It's got to smell right.
It does. Totally true. Ryan is 100% correct.
Looks like Burbank was aggressive buying on site as well. I imagine the dealers would have to be more competitive with their buying percentage. Oh, meaning like if they're buying dealer to dealer. Is that what you mean, Mervyn?
There were a lot of people going up and, wanting to, there were a lot of people there selling cards,
buying from people. Yes. Okay.
And that's true. That's kind of the norm now, honestly, at any show. I don't know that that's going to change anytime. That's fine. That's, the dealers got to refresh their inventory. They got to buy new stuff. So it makes sense.
All right. I'm going to hit you guys with a broad question. And then, Mike, we won't keep you. I know you have a life outside of this. So, but here's one that you can help answer. What would you guys consider the Mount Rushmore of cards? 4 most historic of our lifetimes.
In our lifetimes?
Yeah, Bruce DeGreen. This is kind of
or of history.
Yeah, answer it however you would like.
Well, I'm a baseball guy, so I'm going to stay in the baseball realm. I'm sure you guys can do football or basketball or whatever, but the 52 Topps mantle is on the Mount Rushmore of cards. The Wagner would be on the Mount. That's not of our lifetime, but that's of my lifetime of collecting. That's on the Mount Rushmore, no doubt. Golly. The 89 Upper Deck Griffey hasn't made it yet. It's not that iconic yet from a completely, if it was my lifetime, the 89 Upper Deck Griffey would be up there for sure. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's because there's only 4 people on Mount Rushmore. Try to pick 4 cards. Very tough. Any suggestions from the audience out there?
Yeah. Steve, you throw in one more. And actually, I have a question for Mike before we let him go.
Well, I can't argue any of his picks. Now, if I was just going with personal cards that I would like to have for myself, it would be completely different. But as far as historical significance and value and things like that, you get a lot of the cards. Definitely the Mantle and the Wagner that he just talked about. The 86 Fleer Jordan is probably one of them. I mean, if you're looking at if you're going for the 4 major sports, it's tough to really throw a football card up there, with Brady being kind of, recent. But, of course, the Gretzky, OPG. But for me personally, it would be different. Like my baseball card right now that I absolutely love to look at, and I don't even own one, is the 52 Topps Willie Mays, and that's a card that I want. In a low grade, like a 2 or a 3. And that'll be something that I'm looking at in Philly coming up if I don't land one in Philly. But I've been chasing that card for like a year. It's not super hard to find. I haven't found the one that is for me yet, I guess.
Because you're only going to buy one.
Yeah, and it's going to be a special card when I finally get it. So it has to be the one that may not appeal to everybody else the same way that it does to me. So it has to have that feeling for me for that one. Being a Dan Marino guy, a high grade of his rookie card. I'm a Cal Ripken Jr. person, but let's see. What would I throw up there from? I mean, as a kid, the 89 Griffey definitely hits, but I honestly am never really a huge Griffey fan. So
what?
I was a fan of Griffey, but see, I'm an Orioles fan, so I cheered. I didn't dislike Griffey. Let's put it that way. I didn't dislike Griffey, but he wasn't somebody that, I collected him in general, but he wasn't somebody that I focused my collection on. Like I grew up liking Tony Gwynn was, other than the Orioles, other than Cal Ripken Jr., it was like Tony Gwynn and like Wade Boggs for me because of the positions that I played in Little League. I was a third baseman. So I love Wade Boggs and Tony Gwynn. I just liked, he could hit anything. He was just like,
Yeah.
He's kind of forgotten about a little bit, but to me, like Tony Gwynn was so good when I was watching it.
Remember Kirby Puckett and Cecil
Mhm.
Fielder? Those guys were so dominant. I mean, Kirby Puckett was bigger than a lot of guys, but I just remember him and like collecting cards. It was always like guys like kids looking for Kirby Puckett.
Mhm.
All right, Mike, while I've got you, I want to ask you this. I'm kind of blowing this for myself because I'm on a buying hiatus now, but when summer comes, I'm back in the game. And I'm not like, for me, I look at vintage baseball, and if I look historically, like price wise, it's elevated. I feel like a lot of money has moved into like lower grade vintage baseball and high grade, all of it, all of vintage baseball. So I've been buying, and then also there's also just players that I like that are kind of, they're not like vintage, they're more of kind of like the 80s stars. So I've been buying stuff like this, like the early 2000s. Like it's crazy. These sets have like game used bat, like on card auto. I know Steve copied me and bought the same damn
And
card.
I didn't know you had this one. And I was like, hey, man, I got a Barry Bonds
So
auto. And you were
there
like,
was
I got that one.
There was a second one on the online. I saw it on eBay too. I was going to buy two of them. But all these legends like Tony Gwynn, Ricky Henderson, I mean, like endless, like all these amazing players, they've got like game used bat card, like early upper deck, like early 2000, late 90s, upper deck and Fleer, game used ball, ball, bat, signed stuff on card. I'm like, why is this $100? I mean, and even like the newer stuff, the what is it, the definitive and the what is it, the black diamond or icons, there's those
Gilded. You got Topps Chrome Gilded right now. Yeah.
Like it's like a lot of that stuff, and I don't know, maybe I'm just missing something, but those are some incredible cards. So I'm gonna be looking into that stuff.
Thinking back, probably the first card that I would have considered vintage, and me being someone I guess was collecting mainly in the 90s, if I was going back to the 70s or 60s, that was a really big chase card for me and my friends, was trying to get a Nolan Ryan Koosman, Jerry Koosman rookie. Like we liked Nolan Ryan, and that card was like, if you had one of those and you were in the neighborhood, you were like the coolest kid on the block. So that's kind of a card that I think about also.
What's up, Guns?
49 Bowman. Weren't you just talking about this? Was that your show?
I did an episode that came out today.
I thought I saw the thumbnail. I haven't watched that, but okay. So Jeff has also been smelling cards and collecting 49 Bowman. There you go.
So did you have a question, Dustin, about that? You just said this summer you're going to be buying stuff.
Yeah. I didn't actually get into that second half of it, but just more of like, what's your thoughts on that sort of stuff? It's not like, I'll be honest, it's not like I've done years of research on it. So maybe I'm missing something, but when I look at the price points for a lot of cards I mean, not even just Hall of Fame players, but like some of the best of all time, like it just seems fairly low in comparison to other things, so, and I like the Hall of Fame auto type stuff. So that's kind of right up my alley, what I collect anyway on the football side, with some basketball, and I've got some baseball, but I was thinking like, man, I would like to kind of round out my collection with, like, an example was, what did I see today? It was game used jersey for Ricky Henderson and Martin.
McGuire.
Yeah, McGuire and Henderson. It's a dual auto. It's also got material, and it's like $100. It's like $150 card or something. I'm like, how is this possible? Like it just doesn't seem right. So what are your thoughts? Like, and maybe there's just an abundance of that stuff. I haven't looked at enough of it yet.
So what I'm probably giving away some secrets here, but that's okay because I've already got a lot of this stuff. But the way, the game use stuff, like I bought a gilded Barry Larkin, the brand new gilded product. A guy had opened a case and he had a bunch of autos, and I bought the Barry Larkin. It was $40. That seems insanely cheap for how much that box goes for example, or even 5-star autographs. I do those, those are all relatively cheap. But if you want to kind of zig while everybody else is zagging, this is becoming more and more popular. But I would tell you signed Hall of Fame rookie cards in any sport are becoming incredibly popular. And it just feels like it's more than a fad, if that makes sense. It's kind of a shift. that people are going, okay, I can get Barry Larkin autographs are everywhere, but I want an 87 Topps and 87 Fleer and 87 Donruss. I want one of those signed. George Brett, game used autograph cards aren't common, but they're not hard. I want a 75 Topps rookie signed. That is because that's a great card and it has a signature on it. Because again, when I was a kid, going to shows, Steve may remember this some too, back then, man, getting cards signed was, akin to destroying the card. And that has shifted completely around where now they're incredibly sought after, especially of the guys that have passed away that aren't getting, you can still get a George Brett theoretically signed today. I send Hall of Fame baseball cards through the mail to Paul Molitor and Fergie Jenkins and Don, guys like that still sign them. But that is Sandberg you can send through the mail and get him. He'll sign your rookie card. Boggs will, Dawson, all these guys are. So like last year at the National, or 2 years ago, I got a bench rookie sign, an autographed bench rookie. And I got a Ricky Henderson a few months ago signed. So stuff like that. I got an Ozzie Smith last year at the National. He was at the National. I had him sign my 79 Topps, so those are just things that are, again, not uncommon, but they're definitely, there's way less of those than there are just the regular card itself.
And then you just get like the PSA autograph grade, or just the authentic autograph. Is that how you normally do it?
Typically, I like to buy them already slabbed, just again for protection, and I can tell what Johnny Bench's autograph looks like. I've seen a bajillion of them. Like last year, I bought a '93 Upper Deck SP Jeter rookie autograph. Anybody can buy a Jeter. Go buy it autographed. It takes you to, it's just a different level of looking at it. It's a beautiful card. Yeah. I have it over there.
For me, it's I guess the 80 Topps basketball Bird Magic Dr. J. If I could get that as a triple auto, and I know there's a few floating around, but it's even harder when you have rookie cards with 2 or 3 guys on them that are relevant to get them signed together nowadays, especially in a world of sticker autographs. To have them signed together, that is a card that would be a coffin card, the kind of card you just put it away and it goes to the grave with you. If it was something that I could get my hands on, like I know they're out there, but it's all relative to the price that I would be able to get it for. But man, stuff like that's awesome.
That would look amazing signed. But Dustin, my advice would be to steer clear of the mass-produced,
pack pulled stuff. What if it's dual or triples? Because I saw one. Awesome. I was just thinking it's like just getting a Ricky Henderson autograph, like Upper Deck autograph. There's tons and tons of that stuff. But that's why I was thinking if I get a dual, or I saw, speaking of the Cubs, it was Sandberg, Dawson, and Greg Maddux, a triple auto, pack pulled through Topps, or I think it was Topps. This is damn, even, a Cubs fan would love that, and there would be an end collector for that type of card. But yeah, I totally agree. I think that there is a lot of that kind of just singular auto stuff out there for sure.
Yeah. Any other questions from the cheap seats out there?
Yeah. If you see something, just let me know the time and the comment. I'll pull it up. Last time I tried to go comment by comment and I just flubbed it. So
I saw Mike O in the chat. I just wanted to ask him. I'm pretty sure he's probably going to Philly. But every time I get to go to Philly, I get to have a chat with Mike. We usually have a decent talk, me and Mike O. So hopefully I run into him. We'll be there on the Saturday. If you're still there, Mike, hopefully. And I'll message you on Instagram or something when I get there. Hopefully we can meet up and just chat about the Phillies and stuff. Even though I'm not a Phillies fan, we always talk about that.
He came in to take his shot, and then he might have ran off after this.
Well, he can take his shots at you, man. Me and him are we talk.
No, take a shot at Mike.
There's 2 shows or probably 3 shows that I'd really like to get to at some point. The Philly show is definitely one of them. I've heard great things. Strongsville, I want to go to, and the Nashville show, I heard, are all really good. So I've been to Chantilly. I've been to now Burbank, Dallas, the National. There's some other cool shows on the East Coast that direction that I really want to get to.
I have a vintage card question because I've been looking at the 52 Maze. As someone who's very knowledgeable on vintage and collects it and things like that, what are your thoughts on the 51 Bowmans in comparison to the 52 Tops? I know the 52 Tops is like, I guess, the first Tops card, and they look really good. I love the picture on the Mickey Mantle and the Willie Mays. But I mean, what about those 51 Bowmans? Do you think that they're undervalued? Do you think they're about right? Do you think they don't get the appreciation that they should get, kind of like being a year before? I'm just curious because I've looked at those as well.
Tremendously undervalued. I'll take the Bowman every day. That's their real rookie card. I mean, and look, I love the 50. I want the 52 Tops Mantle. I want the 52 Maze. I just bought a 53 Maze in Burbank when I was there. So it's not disliking the other cards.
Right.
You're asking a specific question.
But the 51 Bowmans are awesome. It reminds me too of like I've got an autogram 50 Bowman, and it's similar, just that small little square, card. It's wicked.
Yeah, I was just looking at them and I was feeling like for the value, like for the bang for your buck, and you're getting, when you look at the difference in prices between the two, and I'm like, man, the 51 is like their first card or rookie card, but I feel like I would be paying more for the 52 Tops. So I'm like kind of thinking like, where is actually my biggest value at?
Well, the discrepancy between Mays, 51 Bowman, and 52 Tops that gap has shrunk a lot over the last couple of years. Mantle, it's still, I think, criminally disjointed. You've got, let's take a PSA 1 Mantle 52 Tops. That's going to go for $25,000 to $30,000. I had a buddy who bought a 51 Bowman Mantle and paid
at Burbank, right?
At Burbank.
Yeah, I saw that.
He paid a third of that, so, and he got a real rookie. Like,
that's wild.
Again, it's not disparaging the 52 Tops. It's it's an iconic hobby card. No question. Give me the rookie every day of the week, twice. If I only had to have one, I'd take the Bowman. Hopefully someday I'll get to have two, or I'll have both. So.
Yeah.
Joe, I did see that show. I reached out. I think it was Scotty Tradition that put on, or Scotty was on it. I did see it came in at 10. I love that star. I'm actually paying for that SGC4 on Friday, so should have it next week. Finally, I've been looking for that card. Well, just trying to find the right copy, kind of like what Steve's talking about with his 52 Maze. Similar. It's just there was a lot at the National last year. It's just finding the right one, the right price point. Didn't happen, but this one was good. So excited about it.
I think prices, by the way, I mean, I'd stay patient here over the next few months. I still think there's some more pain economically. I mean, we just had I know this isn't a personal finance channel anymore, but that's what I do.
We're bringing it back. Yeah, we're bringing it back. Go ahead.
But, the inflation number was not terrific yesterday. And,
no.
I just don't think this is over. And so I would tell people, unless you get a deal, be patient with those key cards, those very, sought after cards. You may be happy that you waited 3 to 6 months. So unless it's the right deal, Steve, I would tell you to hold off on your 52 Maze pickup. Unless you just, again, look, buying any card anytime, if you have the money and you want to do it, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I certainly can't see the future. I'm just, I don't know, 42 years experience in the hobby and 26 as a financial planner. So it just feels like there's a little bit more room on the downside. Not a ton, like vintage isn't going to crash or anything like that. It never does. This won't be any different, but
right.
If $1,000 means a lot to you, which it does to most of us, then $500, again, if it's the right deal, the right card, you just feel good about it, dude, pull the trigger. But I've never regretted buying a card that I overpaid for. I overpaid for my Mantle rookie at the time, and very glad that I overpaid when I did. I always say, today's discount, tomorrow's price. it's going to go back up at some point. Are we going to see 2020 again? No, probably not for a long, long time. That was a generational. That was a generational type shift in the hobby. That's not going to be happening again. And people are still stuck in it. You know, I see it at shows. I see it on eBay. Cards just sitting at some outrageous buy it now, and you're just like, nope, I'll keep passing. And so patience, I think, is just a good thing to have always in the hobby. I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? I say that all the time. I don't need every card today. I would just like every card at some point. Someday.
Where are you so you're going to go, and not even just the national, but shows coming up. You already have a pretty stout collection of Hall of Fame autos and different things, but what in particular is kind of like, are there a few cards that are left that you can name out, like just a couple cards that are on your target?
Well, my want list is about 730 cards long.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's plenty out there. I want a Pee Wee Reese rookie 41 Bowman. That's something I'll be eyeing to try to find at the national. Golly, I want a DiMaggio Gaudy rookie. But these are all big, like super big cards. Like I have to, I can't just, but there's plenty of low hanging fruit for me too. 20, 30, 40, $50 cards that I can, you know, whet my appetite with along the way. And, you know, the 53 Mays was a card I've wanted for a really long time. And I found, like Steve was saying, the right combo of, you know, price, eye appeal, and pulled the trigger, you know. So should I have waited on that card? Like I just told Steve, maybe, but I found the right deal in the moment and I bought it. So
what do you prioritize? So when you talk about eye appeal, for me, it's surface and centering. Do you have set, or is it just like how it comes to you?
Registration, number one for me, which is not normal for most people, most card collectors. And I don't like creases through the face, or, you know, there can be a crease in the corner or something, but anything that really takes away from that. The image is the most important thing to me. I mean, if a card's off center, it came in the pack that way. You know, it's not like somebody altered it or changed it. That's how it came. So it's not ideal. Of course, I like great centered cards just like everybody else does. I mean, you asked what was my most important thing, and the picture itself, the image of the player.
With it being clear, not blurry, or
clear, not blurry. No, I hate snow on cards. Just bothers me. And, you know, so again, it's good that we all have our own things, because it means we're all not looking for the same thing, which is good. I have plenty of OC cards in my collection, and I love them. I'm like, that came out of the pack that way. What am I going to do?
Was grading at Burbank busy between tag, BGS, SGC? I guess PSA, throw that in the mix. I mean, was there long lines for grading at the Burbank?
Yes. BGS at points, yes. Tag was a ghost town. And so, you know, they were trying to get people to come over and talk to them about what tag grading is, but SGC wasn't there at all. So, yeah, it was busy. There was a lot of people grading cards. That's not going away either.
Does not seem to be. Topps Dynasty RPAs. I'm assuming that, this is on the baseball side. Any thoughts on Topps Dynasty RPAs? I don't have any sort of insight into this at all.
So just RPAs in general, or because that would be considered a rookie patch auto, or you just mean patch autos? Damn, I'm about to have a train come through. I don't know.
Yeah, you are. They're gorgeous. They'll be appreciated in about 15 years when those players that are on those art, because Dynasty only started 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's not that old of a product, so it doesn't have the hobby legacy that, you know, a Topps card does or whatever. And so that'll take some time to cook, but it'll be a big deal if the Acuñas and the Sotos and all those guys turn into Hall of Fame caliber players.
Yeah, if you're talking RPAs.
Your train go by?
Oh yeah, it's gone. Usually I can tell when it's coming, but this one must have started on my street. I don't know.
Does Jared Goff or Kyler Murray have any Topps Dynasty RPAs you've been picking up?
I don't think Topps has the NFL license since they've been playing, right? So,
They do now.
I'm ribbing Steve because he's going on the semi, the quarterbacks that have done some things, but not much. But they're cheap. But hey, dude,
you have to understand
you've always been ahead of the game.
You have to understand my thought process, because if I was to say, hey, this is what I've been buying, people would be like, oh my God, that player's trash. What are you doing? You're going to lose. And I'm like, okay, I understand that, but I'm not buying these players as if they're like going to go out and win Super Bowls. There will be a certain amount of hype generated at the National in which I'll be able to move these cards for more than I got them for. And then I'll be able to use that money to get the stuff that I like. And I'm going to be looking for a Willie Mays. And now I'm starting to add to that list. I think a Stan Musial might get added to that list, and a Ted Williams card might get added to that list, because that's 3. And I love the Ernie Banks rookie card. I love the photo on it.
Steve, you need to come over here, man. You'll be in Candyland at my house, dude.
Yeah, that's what I understand, man.
Ziggy Knows asking about SGC having a 25% discount, and Peter was out there. I walked the whole floor for 2 days. I didn't see SGC at all. And that's not true. They were there, now that you say that.
I was going to say, yeah, because I was kind of scrambling. I'm like, did I get the show wrong? Because I thought it was Burbank.
They were there. I apologize, because I was wearing my hat and I walked by and I saw the booth and I was like, hey, I need another hat. And they're like, we need them too. We can't get these hats. And so I didn't see Peter, but you're right. SGC was there. They were not accepting cards. I think they were just, brand promoting while they were there. So I apologize. I totally misspoke on that.
Yeah, I thought that they were offering a discount, but maybe it was drop off. Like,
yeah, you could drop off, but they weren't.
Yes, maybe that's what it was.
They weren't grading on site. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Let's take a quick moment to thank the live stream sponsor, Game Day Legends. I know I've got the ticker frantically going low.
Is that what that said?
Promo code DAD.
Read that fast.
20% off all sports memorabilia site wide. Sports memorabilia is that stuff that, like, as a kid, if I think back, like, could never afford it. I remember, like, my dad would laugh if I said, like, Dad, could I have a signed helmet of Bobby Hebert? Just a joke. So now that we're older, we have a few bucks. It's awesome stuff. So definitely check out GameDayLegends.com.
I've got plenty in here.
Yeah. Sports memorabilia is awesome. I mean, obviously you can't have like 50 signed helmets unless you have, I guess you could. I guess some people can. But yeah, it's wicked. Steve, do you want to show off your?
I have mine right here.
Yeah,
they just sent me something in the mail, courtesy of the Sports Card Dad.
Yeah,
we're
both waiting on our frames. So.
I got the Larry Bird signed jersey.
That's awesome.
And since I got a new house and plenty of wall space in this, I guess you can call it a YouTube/extra room. I ordered the frame today, so. Yes, yeah. My first Larry Bird autographed jersey. I have cards, but I never had a jersey before.
That's pretty sweet.
That is sweet.
Yeah, Dustin got Luka Doncic. Who was Luka Doncic when you get Larry Bird?
No, you made it. You make a good point. Well, so I balanced it out. I got Luka and I got Barry Sanders. So I've got two.
Yeah. Okay, got off the hook with that. I'm not just buying Jared Goff. I did buy myself a Nolan Ryan. This autograph was clean. I love this set. Here we go. So there you go.
Let me see that again. I'm blind, so I need
the 99 SP signature.
Oh, I love that set. That's a classic set.
Yeah. I really like the late 90s, early 2000s stuff. There's some gems in there.
I was able to pick up I'm doing the 01 Fleer Greats of the Game baseball set. There's a football set too and a basketball set, I think.
Yeah, I knew that set.
And I'm down to one card. I need the Willie Mays, which is a 35. It was 30. The guy had it. It was $3,500.
I saw it on your video. Yeah. So what's was that a good price point, or is it just kind of like you never see him, so he's just throwing it? He's putting a price tag on there that's high because you just don't see him.
They sell often enough where you can gauge what they are. Okay. They've gone up. I paid way under comps for all three, so I was tickled pink. And when you have cash, it's a great motivator. Because I may be would be the only guy that whole weekend to ask them about those cards. And if they have a price tag on them, they're for sale. So that's buyers think they don't have any leverage, and that's just what do I preach, Dustin? Never pay sticker.
Yep.
You don't have to. There'll be another one somewhere, some way down the line. I think
it feels like, I mean, the National was my last card show, and I don't think that I think we're in a different spot now. At least I'm guessing that, where it's becoming more and more so obvious that it's a buyer's market. So that's why I'm curious to go to Philly and just kind of see, how that environment is. I don't plan on doing much buying at all, if any, but I just want to see how it all looks.
Well, you need to report back to me what the vintage vibe is like there. So I'm excited to hear.
I'll definitely do it.
Yeah, there'll be a lot. Philly's considered my local show, even though it's about an hour and a half away. Delaware doesn't have anything, so Philly's my local show. Chantilly's not too far, but Philly's always really good vintage show. It's where I bought my very first vintage card, which was the 54 Jackie Robinson. Yep.
All right. Anything else for me, sir?
I think that's it, Mike. I appreciate you jumping on. I mean, it was last second. I think it was yesterday. So I appreciate you, you jumping on short notice, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. It's only going to be, it'll be, I guess, 5 or 6 months. It'll fly by.
It'll be here before we know it. So
let's just say Dustin called me and he had a list of names, and he was like, "Who should we bring on?" And he had this. He kept going on down the list, and he said, "Mike," and I said, "That's the one."
This was all Steve.
Forget about the rest of the list, because we may have bumped into each other at a national or something before, but we never really got to chat. And so, and I know that you would give us a realistic view on the show, and you have a knowledge in vintage, which we don't have to the extent that you have for questions and things like that. So I thought it'd be awesome to have you on. Dustin did too, but
Oh, thanks, Steve. Appreciate
it. Well, I appreciate it. I was glad to go. They did a great job, and I think that show is only going to get bigger. And that's a Dallas homer here telling you that it's going to be very competitive with the Dallas show next iteration. When they do it again.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do, if it's going to get larger into that Anaheim level, where it's almost as big as Dallas. I think that if they do that twice a year, we'll have to get out there for one of those. Sure.
I just need to get to California, so to give me even a reason to go to the West Coast. Never been.
There you go.
So pretty awesome.
All right, Mike. Appreciate it, man.
Sure. Talk to you guys later.
Right, Mike.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
All right. I'm going back to the chat, trying to get caught up a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat to try to help you be caught up, but
yeah, it's not
actually way bad.
I'm not too far behind. This isn't bad. All right, 9:30. Yeah, I'm only 14 minutes behind. Brian wants to talk about precious metals. Brian, I don't know what's going on with you, man. Ever since Tom Brady retired, everything's gone south. Right now, sports cards are looked down upon like constitutional silver coinage, but just you wait. That's right. Yeah. All right. We covered that.
Oh yeah, you're way off.
Peter's there. Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
okay, you're at 9:45. So you're only 6 minutes behind.
I'm 6 minutes behind. Okay. So Michael's got, which current Topps product do you like most for patch autos? I've always been a fan of triple threads. Most autos are on card. I know the patch not always game used, but they still look nice. Yeah, the research I've been doing is more on dual autos, Michael, less on the patches, because it's weird Steve, tell me if I'm wrong here, but isn't it kind of like, it'll say like game worn or game used on the front of the card, but on the back, it's not associated with a player, or there's something weird with the verbiage.
Well, a lot of Topps product will say game used on the front, and then on the back it said it's not, it'll the way it's worded is not associated with any specific game.
Oh, but it's still game used.
So I think it's game used, but they're not relating it. They're not saying, hey, it was worn on October 15th, 1980. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's fine then.
Which Upper Deck in the beginning did. The first football patch cards, because I had the Marino, actually said this was worn against the Pittsburgh Steelers on this day, And then you could, now you could look up the significance of that game, which was a game that the Dolphins had lost. So it was just a regular season game that they lost. But, if it was a significant game where, say, Dan Marino broke the touchdown record when he was still playing or something like that, then that would have been really cool.
Yeah, I think I've been looking more at the baseball stuff, because if you look at the cost of like flawless National Treasures football or basketball, and then you go over and look at kind of like the flawless version of Topps, kind of their high-end Topps baseball stuff, man, there is a lot of insane player. I mean, like all-time great baseball players. So I'm diving into that. I'm doing more research on that, and I want to kind of round out my Hall of Fame auto collection. It's going to have more baseball in it for sure to round out the year. So we'll see. Steve, what did you? So there's a card that you got that's interesting. Do you want to share the card?
Because the Allen and Ginter.
Yeah.
Like,
what?
Well, I love Allen and Ginter autos that aren't sports related, because they will put out autos of people that you would never be able to get like an autograph of on a card. Now you can get this one I just got today. This was the R.L. Stine, the author of like Goosebumps and the TV show, and a whole market spinoff from his books, basically, merchandise and everything. This is numbered out at 25. I thought that was cool. It's not my favorite one that I have out of Allen and Ginter, but I thought it was cool. This was another one out of 10 that I didn't show. And this was just a Greg Louganis, Olympic gold medal diver for the U.S. Yeah. I just remember growing up when he hit his head on the diving board and still came back to win like all the golds. So I just picked that up because it's like $15 and it's numbered out of 10, and he's a United States gold medalist that I can just put it away with my stuff. But yeah.
The odds for Top Series 1, they're going to print the heck out of it, went from 1 to 38 gold to 1. Oh, okay.
I got a lot of stuff here that was going to be in a mail day, and that video was filmed, and then I had to cancel it. Remember that story?
Yeah.
So a lot of people never got to see those cards. I did buy something that's not sports card related. This is a cool, found this at a sale too. This is a cool 1983 postcard of Van Halen, and it's a Van Halen Memorial Day, 1983. So it's a postcard for the holiday. It's the original Van Halen on the back, 1983, and then on the front, all the members. I just thought that was cool. Not don't go out and invest in Van Halen postcards. It's just neat because Eddie Van Halen is one of the GOATs.
Yeah, I have. I've talked about this before. I got permission on this, a $40 purchase. So I've had this one for a while. It's the flawless penmanship Len Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
Got it graded with SGC, but I found this one here. It was $35, 40 shipped. Jim Plunkett. Check out Jim Plunkett's auto. This is how you autograph cards, friends. Like, look at that. It's incredible. 2-time Super Bowl winner. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he does have 2 rings, or at least he won twice. I don't know if he still got his rings. I assume he does, but so yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. All right. Yeah, always good to have Mike on. I haven't had him on in a while. I've had him on. It was probably a year ago when he was on last time, but definitely need to do that more often. Don't park your car where your catalytic converter will get sawed off and stolen here in Cali. Oh, man.
Right. Yeah, I would not have a car. I'd be flying. Oh, man. Checking out some of the comments, see what we got here. I do have a small announcement to make. Small, depending.
Oh, damn. We didn't get it. Okay.
That's okay.
We missed that with Mike. Go ahead.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, I just, how many people in your chat, I mean, they may be familiar with me, but how many people have like paid attention to my content? Anyway, let me check my poll also, because my poll results were sad. I put out a poll on YouTube asking people if they were going to the National, if they planned to go, if it was too expensive, if they weren't interested at all, which I thought was interesting because the percentage of votes on there, and you never know if people just hit the top answer just for the heck of it or not. But I said, do you plan on attending the National this year? 20% yes, 28% no, the accommodations are too expensive. 10% yes, I've already booked. 32% no, not interested. That's 134 votes. And no, not interested is the number one vote, which I find. Now, people may not be interested for certain, people may not be interested for certain reasons. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's too far away, maybe it's too expensive. I did a national giveaway 2 years ago in Chicago for 2 nights, Friday and Saturday night. Then I did one last year in Atlantic City. I think it was for Friday and Saturday night. This year, I'm going to do it again. So I put the poll out just to get a feeler. Even though I see the percentages, I'm going to do it again. So if you're not familiar with my channel or anything, the national giveaway, and I've already booked the room, and it will be for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night this year. So instead of a 2-night giveaway, it will be for all 3, and it'll be for Thursday, so you can be there for the big trade night. And I won $200 on the Super Bowl square. So that $200 is going into the fund also. So the room's paid for, and then there's $200 already. I mean, I paid $10 for a football square, and I won $200. So nice. I'll let somebody else benefit off that. And we'll build it up. Usually it doesn't happen. I don't start the build normally until a month before, but it'll give more time to get the snowball building and get the word out, get more people involved, whether that's more people to participate or whether that's more content creators that want to help me advertise it, help me do whatever. I don't expect anybody to give me anything. My biggest thing is I always want this to maybe rub off on the big dog content creators, the big people that can make a difference for somebody. Not, hey, you're a millionaire in the hobby. You want to throw me $100 for my giveaway. That's not what I want. I want them to be like, hey, we're going to give away the all-inclusive national giveaway to somebody. But I'll do what I can do, and maybe it'll rub off on some of the big dogs and they'll do something even better. But anyway, that's the announcement. I'll announce it on my channel. I'll probably pop in on a live drive sometime and announce it too. And we won't talk about it constantly because we'll get tired of talking about it by the time July rolls around. But
it's a big,
just putting it out there.
I mean, you've done it the last, 2 years? And
2 years.
Pretty serious. I mean, it's a huge package. I mean, typically, and Charles got it last year. Charles, had like, he won all the trivia. Charles was actually on fire last year to win. Charles, you cannot win again, so don't even.
The year before he was terrible. I remember the year before he was terrible. And Scott, I know his last name, Scott Dolzalek, if I'm saying it properly, Scott, I don't know if you're in the chat or not. He won the year before, and then him and Charles ran into each other at the National in Atlantic City this year, and they were all arguing over who was going to win it this year. There'll probably be neither one of them. We'll have a new winner.
That's cool, man. No, it's awesome that you do that. And I said before, I would do something like that, but I wouldn't want it to be like I swear with giveaways, it can be hit or miss. And for you, right. It's worked great for you and people. I don't think you've gotten pushback or anything on it. I at least would hope not. You're trying to do something really, really nice. And you have done it the last 2 years, but I could just hear it now of, like there's some sort of deception or I picked somebody weird or whatever. So, but I will chip in for yours. So hopefully that is helpful. And I'll advertise it as well.
Yeah, Michael Ham's already booked with me, so I don't have to worry about Ham winning and everybody saying it was rigged. That was my thing last year. I was like, man, if Ham wins this, everybody's going to be like, Steve set it up for Michael Ham to win. So Ham's booked to stay with me. So, yeah.
All right. Collector's Dream is subscribed to you, Steve. He'll be following along.
Yes, I remember him from Filmington's party.
Yes. Awesome. Charles, of course, is going to try to win again. No shock there. Oh, there you go. Michael Jordan donated $10 million to Wish. Michael Jordan's donated a lot, and he's not even on social media. I wonder if that is part of kind of his mystique, kind of the allure to Michael Jordan is just that like he doesn't give a damn about IG followers or any of that stuff. He just did his thing and that's it. So all right, I think I'm down to the bottom here. Okay, cool. I'm looking through. I don't think we're right at the hour mark. I feel like we timed this up really good. Are there any other topics that you wanted to cover here, Steve, before we jump off this thing? My internet hasn't shut off yet. My Commodore
Oh
64.
man, I could talk all night and hang out with everybody. You're always the one that has to cut it short and leave everybody hanging and stuff. Like, I feel like
What do you want to do? Well,
I feel like we dedicated like 30 minutes plus to Mike, so then we should give everybody an hour of us, right?
Woof. Okay. Well, talk to me.
At least 20 minutes, man. Right?
I want to talk about the Super Bowl, but I just feel like it's going to sound like, like sour grapes. And here's the thing is I don't even dislike the Chiefs, and I'm not an Eagles fan, but just the call at the end, the holding call, I just don't like the timing of the holding call. I understand that it might have been a slight hold, but it wasn't egregious. It wasn't the Saints versus the Rams in the NFC Championship game going back a few years where the guy just annihilates our receiver and they don't call anything. This guy has a little tug on the jersey. It's the playoffs. It's the damn Super Bowl, and it's literally it's the game. I mean, if you throw the flag, it is now a 27-yard kick with no time on the clock. If you don't throw the flag, it's fourth down. It's maybe a 40-yard kick. And then, the Eagles get the ball. It makes for more drama. It extends the game. I know for a lot of folks, they're happy that the Chiefs won. Mahomes, it's good for the hobby. I don't know if I really buy into any of that. And I don't dislike Mahomes. He's amazing. And he seems like a decent guy. So there's not any, hate towards the Chiefs, but I'm just watching a football game. I don't want it to end on a flag, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That was my take from it. Great game otherwise.
Yeah. And my thought is, man, I live near the Philly area. Like everybody around here is Philly Eagles fans. So my take on it, and some people might be like, I'm full of crap, but that's okay. Even if the Eagles get the ball back with 2 minutes or whatever it might have been, they're not guaranteed to score. Are they likely to score? Maybe. Are they likely to get a field goal? Possibly. Are they likely to turn the ball over? It could happen. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of unknown. I just hear a lot. I hear a lot of, oh, we would have won if it wasn't for. I hear a lot from the Eagles fans. We would have won if that flag wasn't thrown. Well, you may not. There's still circumstances to where you would have had to win. If the Chiefs make the kick, you got to go down. You got to score.
I mean, the big shocker from the game was the Eagles were such a dominant defense, and they got absolutely shredded. I mean, it wasn't even like they just didn't hold up at all. I mean, that pass rush, I think, had 55 sacks, had like some sort of an NFL record, or like third most ever, and did they ever touch Mahomes? I mean, that defense just didn't show up, the way they had all year. And it's the Chiefs line.
And they kept the Chiefs off the field in the first half. The Chiefs barely had the ball in the first half because the Eagles had slow, time-consuming drives. They were converting fourth and shorts quite a bit. And, if the Chiefs get the ball as many times as the Eagles do in the first half, you wonder, would they have shredded them up like that? I really don't know. But
my problem, though, Brett, is that – oh, wait, did I pull up the wrong one? Sorry, Brett. Chris, it might have been holding, but there's literally holding on every NFL play, whether it be offensive holding, defensive holding. I mean, if you look back, run through the highlights on games. I mean, like – you can call this stuff really at any point. And, the refs, I guess that's kind of the problem with these judgment calls. These are all judgment calls, so the problem is when it's all judgment calls, then you're going to have someone that's pissed. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah. I feel like the game was very clean. There wasn't a lot of flags for anything. There might've been like a delay of game, a false start, a neutral zone infraction, but it was all stuff that was very obvious. And there were very few, I don't know how many, did we see any offensive holdings? Because honestly, that's the first thing they teach you when they teach you football. If you're playing line, is how to hold without getting caught. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like you could, people argue you could throw offensive holding on any time you want. It's, but we didn't. I don't think we saw.
And then the other part is, how many holds have you seen that were way worse than that hold?
I just feel like they let them play. I feel like they let them play most of the game. And then again, you don't see every single play unless it's and every single play away from the ball, unless the camera's right on it. We didn't see the holding play take place until they showed us the replay, right? Because they don't really have the camera focusing on the cornerbacks and things like that. But I mean, if I was to say, hey, this is ultimately was the backbreaker of the game, we say it all the time, turnover differential, and it was 1-0. There was one mistake that was really big for the Eagles, and it was really costly. If they go down and make it 17-7 or 21-7 on that drive instead of the turnover making it 14-14, we could be talking about something completely different. So
yeah,
the fumble return for a touchdown that came off a penalty. They were fourth and 1 for a quarterback sneak. They had a penalty that backed them up 5 yards. They then ran a quarterback draw, which then caused a fumble. So 2 back-to-back sloppy plays by the offensive line and then by the quarterback not protecting the ball is what cost them the game in the end. And that's the way that I look at it.
Yeah, that's where there's not really as much of an issue because that holding penalty at the end of the game, I don't like to see a penalty at the end of the game like that, but that penalty didn't lose them the game. There was a few other things like you mentioned that lost the Eagles the game, obviously. So yeah, I mean it is what it is. But
did you just highlight Jay's comment?
Where was it? Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, he said.
Yeah. So Jay donated to my giveaway last year. Jay, I met also at the Chantilly Card Show. He was set up as a dealer, and he sells a lot of he has sports, but he has a lot of non-sports stuff and sets and things like that, Disney stuff, cool pop culture stuff. And he let me come in and store my case at his table, and he even offered me to set up some of my stuff. Super down to earth, and Jay just contributed a nice little contribution to it. Just came through on my PayPal. I saw the notification. I won't disclose it unless he wants me to, but Jay, thanks again. That's 2 years in a row now. Might be 3. I don't know if I'm forgetting the first year or not, but just a stand-up guy that I've met in the hobby. So thanks, Jay. It's awesome. You didn't have to do that, but appreciate it.
Yeah, Brendan, I completely agree with this. The one thing that I thought was hilarious is Mahomes is out there wincing like his leg is broken. And then the second he gets off the field and he's in the tunnel, the cameras are still following him, and he's walking like he's fine. This dude is acting like it's like the Jordan flu game, and he's totally fine. Now, Grant, I don't think he's totally fine. I'm kidding. But, I mean, he was really playing it up, and then he was magically okay. And even the announcers were like, huh. You know, he looks different than when he was out on the field. Yeah, I saw that too, Brendan. Dustin, if you were Saints GM, who is starting week 1 at quarterback for you? That's really, really tricky.
Derek Carr.
Yeah, I mean, I think, here's the thing that we don't know is how much money is Derek Carr asking for? You know, and there's going to be other teams that are vying for him. And then
did they cut him yet?
Yeah, they cut him. Yep.
Okay. Because he was refusing to trade, so they were going to have to cut him. I think he was just doing that to spite the team so that they couldn't get anything for him.
I like the fact that he at least met with us because why would he have met with us if he was already planning on, like he was obviously going to he was going to reject the trade. So he came and met with us, which I thought was cool. So we kind of got a chance to talk to him before he hits free agency. But even with Derek Carr, he's not some sort of a lock. I mean, like, it's not like, I don't know. He's a very good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback. He's probably going to want $40 million a year. So it's a risk. I mean, I don't really know. And then I keep on hearing a lot of our mock drafts have us taking the quarterback out of Tennessee. I think it's Hooker.
Yeah.
And he was great before he got injured. I would love for us to pick him up and just see what happens. I don't know what round if he's supposed to be I think he's projected to be a second rounder maybe. But yeah, I'm honestly, I was kind of joking on IG today about like, we're doing our annual trying to replace Breeze, thing at quarterback. And we'll probably be doing that for a while. I think we're going to be doing that for a while. We still have to shed some cap space. So I'm sure we're going to probably lose a few guys. But yeah, we're in a mini rebuild, I would say. But the good news is our division is awful. Tom Brady and the Bucs were the other kind of good team, I guess. And Tom Brady retired, so the Bucs are in shambles. I mean, some people think the Panthers are up and coming. I would say that they're not bad, but our division is just not. There's no dominant teams in our division. We're not in the AFC West. So as I'm a season ticket holder for the Saints, I'm feeling pretty good. At least we'll have a shot next year. How about your Dolphins, Steve?
I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do at quarterback. They've named Tua the starter next year, but as of the Pro Bowl, apparently he was still in concussion protocol because he couldn't play flag football. and but we'll see. I was hoping we would go sign a veteran, a successful veteran, even if it was a contingency plan. But we did that this year. We thought signing Teddy Bridgewater, who was an established veteran, was a good contingency plan because, or not we, but the Dolphins organization. They knew that Tua was a risk, a health risk. I don't think they knew it was going to be a head issue, but we've all known since college he's been a health risk, and that's why Teddy Bridgewater. That's why Teddy Bridgewater was brought in to play backup, because with that offense, if you're a decent quarterback, you can be successful in that offense. So, they were like, win now with Tua, or we got a backup that can win. And then it just seemed like every time Tua was hurt, Bridgewater was hurt. So, is what it is. Almost pulled out a first-round upset over the Bills, but almost doesn't count. And we'll see. I hope Tua can get it right. But then again, I don't want him to risk his health. A greedy Dolphins fan would be like, we want Tua out there, throw him out there. We used a fifth-round pick or fifth pick of the draft on him and things like that. But to me, if he was to retire tomorrow and say I have to retire because of head issues, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be angry. I would be like, okay, we got to move on. This just happened. I'm somebody that has, suffered from seizure disorders, since I was in high school anyway. So, I get it. And it's like, I had to get cleared to play high school varsity football every year by my neurologist. So, so I understand. And, a free agent would be great. Would I like Derek Carr in Miami? Yeah, but I think the price tag will be too hefty. Tua is still on his rookie contract, so we do got to figure out what's going to happen. But I think we bring in somebody that's more of a capable backup in case that Tua has the issues. I don't know if Gardner Minshew is going to be out there. I'm not sure. But
guys, I mean, Baker Mayfield is floating around.
No, I don't want that. I don't want that baggage.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, there's a bunch of those guys. There's a bunch of guys, those journeymen. Well, now Baker Mayfield's turned into a journeyman.
Right.
It's
I would honestly rather have a Sam Darnold than a Baker Mayfield, to be honest.
I'm honestly for the price tag, I'd rather just stay with Andy Dalton. I know people are like, Andy Dalton, but like if you look at his stats and stuff, I mean, if compare price tag and then the stat line for Andy Dalton and some of these other guys, and it's like, let's just stay with Dalton. I mean, is it going to be that much better? And it's going to be a lot more expensive.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I see someone commenting on the Minshew to Miami. I mean, that would make sense because I don't believe Minshew is going to be too expensive. I think he could be successful in that offense if he needed to play. He's still young if we needed to extend him.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind the Saints getting Jimmy G. I see Bradley. Where's Jimmy G going? I wouldn't mind having Jimmy G.
Yeah, Jimmy G would fit in Miami. Also, Jimmy G was probably playing his best football of his career from a passing standpoint. He was never asked to do a lot because of the way San Francisco plays football, but he was playing well until he got hurt. But that was because he was in the right system with the right offense. That was a lot of why Brock Purdy had the success that he had. I don't know if you throw Brock Purdy into the mix on a team like say the Saints or the Raiders or something, if he is as successful as he was in San Francisco, so. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind even having Purdy though. I mean, even though we've only seen kind of a small sample size with Purdy, and granted, yes, he was on a great team. I would take him over a lot of these other guys.
Well, you still have Trey Lance out there, so you have a problem because it was he the third pick of the draft, and you haven't got a chance to see what he can do yet. And he's injury issues as well. But is he somebody that maybe 49ers can move off of and get draft capital for, and another team wants to take a chance on him? Do they keep Jimmy G as the backup because he can play? You know what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get out of Jimmy Garoppolo, right? So, but if you throw Trey Lance and his talents and keep him protected into the offense that Brock Purdy got thrust into, can he have the same success or if not more than Brock Purdy? So it's kind of like, Brock Purdy
people are saying Trey Lance. It's just like the thing is I've seen more out of Purdy than I have out of Trey Lance.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's a little bit more proven.
And Purdy's injury isn't as bad as they originally thought it was. It's not like a Tommy John injury or anything like that.
Yeah, or his shoulder, you know, like with Breeze, he was just kind of lucky to be able to play for a good bit. But at the end of his career, he lost his arm strength, and he was like, it's just based on that shoulder surgery. That's how I lost it.
Mm.
So
Charles Fuchs says Purdy has sound fundamentals, elite QB, but Charles Fuchs is a huge Jimmy Garoppolo fan. If anybody didn't know out there, stacking gems.
I can never read Charles. He's trying to sell. He's definitely Purdy's right now.
He's a Marvel card collector, and he really likes Star-Lord. So we just kind of like Star-Lord is like the Jimmy Garoppolo of the Marvel universe. So that's kind of like, you know, he's kind of like the guy on the back seat. He's got the looks. He can perform if he's got a good team around him, like the Guardians of the Galaxy. But, you know, he's not like Captain America. We can just get it done. So, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo is kind of like a Star-Lord in the Marvel.
Lamar Jackson, is he going to move on from the Ravens? That's another one. I saw a report that they're $100 million apart on contract negotiations. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, again, like this offseason might be a little wild. There might be some movement, a lot of QB movement.
Lamar Jackson's going to get franchised, and he's going to hold out.
Do you think so?
Probably. I don't think they're going to invest long term into him. Their director of personnel, is it still Ozzie Newsome? I'm not sure, but
he is awesome.
Yeah, he's never been one like that, and they'd never been the type of team to bring in fancy weapons for their quarterbacks. A lot of people say, you know, Lamar Jackson needs help. He needs weapons. He doesn't really have anything, but that's never been the Ravens' identity. I live close to Baltimore. That's never been how they've won. They've always ran the ball, played good defense. Look at how they won their Super Bowls. Joe Flacco was a solid quarterback that could get it done, but was he a guy out there? He wasn't blowing up stat sheets, you know? So, yeah. You know, they brought in Anquan Bolden in the back end of his career and things like that, but those teams won on defense and running.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, and we haven't seen a quarterback get that kind of money, like, you know, hundreds of millions. And you know, the holdup is going to be the guaranteed money, you know, because they all now want Deshaun Watson guaranteed $240 million, you know, plus. How are you going to give Lamar Jackson, you know, $250 million guaranteed the way he plays football? I mean, I think he's awesome, but it's like, as long as he's healthy.
Right. I mean, he's won a league MVP, but since then, I mean, that's been the highlight of his career. And it's kind of been like he's kind of regressed since then. He's taken injuries because of his style of play. And wasn't pass. I mean, he'll have good passing games. And like I said, the weapons aren't there for him to really throw the ball deep and be consistently throwing the ball across the middle. Mark Andrews is great, but you know, you need something else if you're going to be a pocket quarterback. Not everybody can be Patrick Mahomes. And I say that because you take away Patrick Mahomes' most dangerous weapon in Tyreek Hill, and he goes out and has one of the best years of his career and wins the Super Bowl. Yeah, he still has Travis Kelce and then a bunch of misfit wide receivers that a bunch of other teams didn't want. Juju, who was a number 2 in Pittsburgh, when he became a number 1, he wasn't any good. Marcus Valdez-Scantling, who was a number 2 in Green Bay. That's about it, right? Catch a long ball, you know, and he still finds ways to get it done. He throws the ball to his running back, throws the ball to his tight end, you know, so.
Yeah, Mahomes completely
just different.
Solidified himself. Honestly, I thought without Tyreek, they would suffer. I did not think they were going to win the Super Bowl without Tyreek. That was surprising.
If you told me that Patrick Mahomes would win league MVP or be a league MVP candidate after the Tyreek Hill trade, I would have bet you probably any amount of money on that. But then again, that's things happen like that.
What you're gonna have to look at is a lot
the
of
cream always rises to the top, right?
A lot of these new QBs, it's not a new thing, but a lot of them can run and they can pass. Mahomes is at least careful when he's running for the most part. There's sometimes where he takes some unnecessary hits, but you know, if you look at the guys with longevity, like the Tom Brady's, the Drew Breeses of the world, they're not running that much. They're running if they've got a wide open field in front of them, but they're not running quarterbacks. The running quarterbacks have a short shelf life for the most part. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's, you pay a guy big money on that second contract, but I mean, 10 years might be the length of their career. You got like the rookie contract that's 5 years. You got the second contract, and that's about it. Like they're, 10 years in, are they going to be able to hold up?
Right. And I see, I don't know if it's anyone, and anyone, something like that. But he says, Kelsey and Reed will be gone in 2 years. The Chiefs will be stuck in a large contract on Mahomes, which is true. But that's what teams do. The NFL is a league of win now, due to trades and free agency and things. It's no longer, hey, we're going to build a team like the '90s with the Cowboys when they built with their draft picks. Troy Aikman in '89, Emmitt Smith in '90. Russell Maryland to scoop up to free up the defensive line in like 91, whenever that was. So, Michael Irvin was like an 88. So it's like, you can't build like that really anymore, because as soon as a quarterback is out of their rookie contract, you got to give them money. If they're worth their weight, right? You got to pay them, and everybody wants a bigger contract than the next. So right now,
they actually probably got a deal on Mahomes because they signed him years ago.
And if Andy Reid was to retire in 2 years, and so was Travis Kelce, and the Chiefs were to become a middle of the pack type team, I would still say this was a win for them, because they've gotten 2 Super Bowls out of it.
Yeah, Mahomes has proven that the weapon, exactly what you're saying, the weapons don't matter. Really, the Chiefs just have to they have to spend money on their defense, make sure their defense is really good. Mahomes is now it's like with Tom Brady or Breeze. They don't need to spend big on offensive players. They just need to have 1 or 2 weapons and then have some good role players, and Mahomes will do the rest. That's exactly what Tom Brady did and Drew Brees did, and Aaron Rodgers did. And so that Mahomes is that guy, really. And there's just not many QBs like that. How many of these other guys, if you take Diggs off of the Bills, how's Josh Allen? I mean, maybe he's good. Maybe he's still really good, but I mean, Stephon Diggs does a lot for them. So I would be curious to see how he does without Diggs.
And I think, you lose a Travis Kelce because they lost a Tyreek Hill. The most important thing for any quarterback is you got to protect him. I don't care who you are, how many weapons you have.
Yeah.
If your team can't protect you, you're not going to be successful. You're going to struggle. You're going to rush. You're going to make bad decisions. You turn the ball over, take injuries, right? So any team's number one should always be protect their quarterback. And if you have a quarterback that's good enough to make the other offensive weapons around them better, given protection, then you'll always be fine. But I mean, we talk about that, the Eagles pass rush, right? We talk about that for the Super Bowl. They didn't touch Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And
that was shocking.
And the Chiefs won, right? So
yeah, it was absolutely shocking. I mean, just because the Eagles pass rush is ferocious. I mean, Reddick, those guys, I think it just speaks to how good that Chiefs O-line is, like just incredible. So, all right, we've been on the Super Bowl for a while, move off of it. Because I probably have maybe like 10 more minutes, Steve. What do you want to hit on in these last 10 minutes?
I don't know. We've talked about some cards. I'm going to put out a video basically talking about my plan, what I've been buying, what I've been doing. I know you were throwing the jabs, the Kyler Murray jabs and things like that. He's not even the one that I've been buying the most of. But basically,
with your track record, it's kind of like they have it to where you can pick the same stocks as like Warren Buffett. They'll have like, just follow the trend of like a Warren Buffett or whichever trader it is, high profile trader. I feel like with Steve, it's like, I should just buy exactly what Steve does and I'll probably be fine.
Yeah. But it's not more so who to buy or what to buy or how to buy. It's like, it's when, right? When is always the biggest factor when you're buying and selling something. It's not who it is. You could buy a bad player, but if you're buying him at the right time, selling him at the right time, you're going to do all right. It's kind of like playing poker. A good poker player can win with a bad hand.
Right.
Because it's all about timing, right?
Sports Card Radio's video today?
Yes.
My video tomorrow morning is kind of on the back of that because I thought it was really interesting what they were talking about. It was basically like any player, it was all about price point essentially.
Yeah.
And that's
exactly.
True.
it's all about price point. Like, like you said, I was buying Kyler Murray cards. I wasn't like, hey, I'm going to go buy Kyler Murray cards because Kyler Murray is like going to come back from his injury and be great and stuff.
Yeah.
I bought them because I got a really good deal, and I'm only buying the Kyler Murrays that I got a really good deal on. I'm not buying all the Kyler Murrays off eBay that are priced really high. They're going to take a lot for you to get something back out of them. One of the ones that I picked up, and it's because I just think he's a good quarterback on an exciting team. They just came in. I'll show them. Oh, by the way, I did pick this up, and this was a card out of the blue. I'm not looking for this card, these types of cards or anything, but I got a good deal on Instagram, and I picked up a Peyton Manning Color Blast.
Oh, cool.
So I don't buy Kabooms. I don't buy Downtowns. I don't buy Color Blasts. I know those are like the three really popular inserts, but this came up to me on Instagram. Somebody asked me if I was interested in it because I had posted I was looking for Peyton Manning autos.
Oh, okay.
And somebody was like, well, I got a Color Blast. And they give me a good price on it. And I was like, well, that's a good price. Was I in the market for that card? I wasn't, but I am at that price.
Yeah, there's a lot of Peyton Manning collectors. Tons.
Yeah. So, I mean, I picked these up. I just want to put a certain amount of money into quarterbacks that I think can, and it's not specific quarterbacks. I want to take so many, let's just give a number, $3,000. I want to take $3,000 and put it into quarterbacks that I think will have enough hype at the National for me to get back out of them. And that's it. Not holding to the season, see if they do great. And if I was to hold one player, it's this one because he had a strong season this year. That's Jared Goff, and everybody's gonna say Jared Goff, what? But anyway,
what's really funny is I almost pulled the trigger on Jared Goff stuff last year when he went to the Lions because I was like, man, Goff is not a bad quarterback. Like he's not terrible, and he'll probably have some upside. And I didn't buy any of the stuff, but that was one obviously.
I got two of these contenders playoff ticket 9-5 10s. These are numbered out of 25. This is the playoff ticket, not the basic one. I got two of them, number 13 and number 14 out of 25, both BGS 9-5s.
Wow.
And I got them cheaper than a Zach Wilson Silver Prism, right? And I got the flawless numbered out of 5.
Damn.
BGS 9, auto 10. And this is the 2016 flawless auto out of 5. I paid less than for these 3 cards than I would one decent Justin Herbert card. Right. So it's like, and when I say a decent Justin Herbert card, I mean like a nothing with an auto on it, nothing with a patch on it. I mean like a select, a numbered select card or something. So it was just the opportunity that I see there. And this was an Instagram deal. So, I threw out there that I was looking for Jared Goff, and somebody posted me with some Jared Goffs, and I was like, okay, that's a good price.
There is something to having some cool cards at the National for a trade night, like having something like that's different, that you have at trade nights.
I know at the last 2 Nationals, when I'm sitting there at the table with my stuff out, I know the stuff that people look at and say that's kind of cool. I know the stuff that people look at and they're looking to get it so that they can move it again. And it's always young quarterbacks. And then a lot of times it doesn't matter what the name is, as long as it's somebody with some kind of buzz, some kind of potential. And, nice cards. So those 3 Jared Goffs, I'm just like I said to you on Instagram, I said, man, if I can't make money off these 3 Jared Goffs, I'll quit the hobby.
Yeah.
Because the price was right. like it said on Sports Card Radio today with the Bob Barker. But the price was right.
The problem is there's deals every day. That's really the problem is if you're always looking, there's always deals, so that's where it does get tough. But I think kind of to speak to what Mike was talking about earlier with just like economic stuff, I also have to remember like, hey, look, I mean, there's going to be cards there in the summertime, and that's probably when I'll pick back up again. Summertime typically is not a bad time to buy anyway for a lot of stuff, just because people spending money elsewhere, vacations or whatever. So I just need to remember like, hey, look, like there will be opportunities.
Right. And Brewster Green says golf is kind of a buy high right now after last season, though. Shouldn't be buying low. That's not true. The only card of his that's up is the Silver Prism. And that's because that's the bread and butter card. And that's because it's affordable to everybody, right? It's probably under $100 or somewhere between 90 and 120, depending on what you're doing. 2016 Silver Prism PSA 10. The thing about these quarterbacks is the moment they're eliminated from the playoffs, everybody forget about what they've done until the season starts coming back around. So, yeah, we know Jared Goff had a really good season. Detroit finished strong. Once they were eliminated, nobody really cared. But coming into next season, people will think back, oh, what were they doing last year? Oh, Jared Goff put together a solid season. I had him on my fantasy team, man. He was tearing it up. Detroit, they're up and coming. You know, they knocked Green Bay off to end the season. You know, so it's like, is that enough to generate a $100 profit off one of those cards for me? That's my thought process. If I buy one of those cards for $100, will there be enough buzz at the National for me to sell it for $200? Even if I sell it for $150 or $175, right? There's not a whole lot of risk there. And the upside can be 4x, 5x. The upside could be $50, but there's going to be somebody there willing to give me more than what I paid for them. That's just my mindset.
I've got my application in, Brendan. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I did see that they're looking to add someone in. I'm interested to follow that. I'm enjoying that kind of that buy sell stuff. They've got their live tomorrow night, I think, Thursday nights.
Also, on that note, if you're looking at eBay Buy It Nows, yes, some Jared Goff stuff is priced high. That doesn't mean it's going to sell at those prices. So if you're just going by listings and what people are listing their stuff for, that's not necessarily what that card's worth.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, Fields is an interesting one. The Bears just can't seem to get it together. But yeah, you're right. If there's some excitement for the Bears going into the season, maybe there's some spec. This is the problem I had last year, though, and that's the reason why I didn't buy Goff is because I felt like there was like a ton of guys that you could spec on that you could make a case for, and then you're kind of relying on. Now, I like Goff. I like your idea with Goff, but you're kind of relying on them signing. Not the Lions, but I'm just saying, like talking about Justin Fields. Well, what if they do nothing in free agency? I mean.
Right.
Maybe his stuff still moves at the National. Maybe people are still excited about him because he's an exciting player, the way he runs and everything. But, man, I would never carry Fields into the season.
So Justin Fields, I picked him up off my fantasy football free agent wire midseason, and I won my championship because of him. But with that being said, I don't think he's a very good NFL quarterback. He's a good fantasy quarterback. So if people are going on Justin Fields by looking at his fantasy scores and things like that, if you watch him on the field, he's okay, right? I get Chicago's not exciting. They don't have a lot of weapons and things like that. They brought in Chase Claypool. It didn't do much. Cole Kmet's all right. They try to run. But he really wasn't a very efficient quarterback, especially from a passing standpoint. He was passing for $120 to $150 per game. Everything was coming on the ground for him, and that's why he was fantasy gold. Rushing quarterbacks are fantasy gold. That doesn't necessarily translate to NFL success.
Brewster, so I think that I can't really speak for Steve, but I think if I would buy any of these guys, whether it be like a Trey Lance coming back from injury or whatever, it would definitely be a flip before the season. Honestly, taking quarterbacks into the season, I feel like for me personally, it would be like retired guys. It would be Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Bart Starr rookies. Those are the quarterbacks I would hold going into the season. Just because, like, if you look, a lot of the guys, like Mahomes has now separated himself. We'll have to look at kind of what his pricing looks like and what it does. But he's kind of that next guy. And his stuff, I just assume, I don't know how you feel about Mahomes, Steve, but like, I'm probably not touching any of his stuff, at least not for a while.
Like I said in my last video, news dies quickly. Patrick Mahomes is a Super Bowl champion till next season, but in the card world, he's Super Bowl champion for a week, right? It's kind of been the trend. And that's not me, and that's not me dumping on Patrick Mahomes and his cards. That's just kind of the card market's just like fickle like that, right? Like that's just what happens. As far as buys to hold into the season to see if they can get back to their former self, this may be an unpopular name, but Deshaun Watson, for all of the off the field problems and stuff that he's had, people will forget about that, right? Look at Ben Roethlisberger. People will tend to, over time, if he's successful at quarterback, it's just the way it is. People will forget about the off the field issues. And if he starts playing like he did when he was with the Texans, he's still young. He was drafted in the same draft with Patrick Mahomes. He's on a better team than I would say those Texans teams were. But he was out of football for a year. His cards, you can find, some are high, but you can find deals. And if you can find deals, I think that he's somebody that if you hold him into the season and the Browns start the season 3-0, now I haven't looked at NFL schedules yet. That's another thing. I look at NFL schedules and try to be like, what quarterbacks can have a hot start? Who has a weak schedule? You never know. Teams change every year, but you can try to guess. Because you don't want to be holding players that are going to struggle once the season starts and their team's losing. I remember when Kyler Murray stuff blew up a couple of years ago because Arizona started like 4-0. But if you didn't sell into that 4-0 by week 6, you couldn't get rid of him because the team started falling flat. He was getting banged up. But Deshaun Watson's one of those guys, if he can get back to even 80 to 90% of himself, he'll be a great quarterback on a team with a big market in Cleveland that can win in that division. We've seen him win in that division. We've seen him smash Cincinnati in the regular season. They also lost to Cincinnati probably, but we saw him smash Cincinnati. So, and I think they smashed Cincinnati with Jacoby Brissett. So that's one. But again, don't overpay for it. You got to find a deal. I have one Deshaun Watson card came in the mail, but I got it cheap. I think it might be the first card in my case here. Yeah, it's just a select maroon prism out of 99. It's a PSA 10, so I think it's like a pop 4. And I paid like a little over $100 for this. So for that type of card for him, I wouldn't go out and buy his contenders and his high-end stuff because people still have that stuff priced high. But you can get his silver prisms and his selects and his numbered stuff that's fairly liquid for good prices. And that's if you want to gamble. It's all a gamble. It's all a gamble. Every card that I bought, I could lose on. Every card I just showed you, I could lose on. But I'm willing to accept that.
Yeah. No, I think that's good stuff, Steve. I have got to jump off, guys. So I appreciate it. We made it to an hour 37. Thank you for another episode of Off Centered. Steve, any parting words you would like to give?
Hope to see you guys in Philly. When are we back on? In 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. So we'll be on before that.
Okay. So I would just wonder, because you're going to be here on the 10th of March. So we'll have at least 1 or maybe 2 more live streams in before you get here. Guys, just be careful what you're buying, man. Limit your risk. Be careful. Know your values. Go watch my last video. I talk about that kind of stuff because I'm in the hobby to try to be helpful. I don't know everything, and I take my losses with my wins. But and you don't have to think like me. You don't have to think like these quarterbacks are. That's just my mindset. So,
Joe Day, Mike's Retro Trading Cards. Check it out. All right, guys. I'm losing my internet. It's like telling me to get off now. It's too late. It's the ghost in the machine. So we will talk to you again later. Have a great night.
All right. See you.